20th at 7:05. Mr. Aho, could you take a roll, please?
Mrs. Kane Griswold,
Here.
Mrs. Davis,
Here.
Mr. Felber,
Here.
Mrs. Sturl Waldron,
Here.
and Mr. Stuver is absent.
Okay. Can everyone join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for joining us this evening. I see a lot of new faces in the audience that I think we're going to be meeting shortly, so welcome, and we're thrilled to see you. Also, a big welcome to all the students and staff, as our first day was today with the students. Yesterday was the first day for the staff. We were lucky enough to just come back from a tour of the buildings and see some of the wonderful improvements that were made over the summer, and the buildings look great. The improvements are fabulous. I think we'll be talking a little bit about them under one of our committee reports later, but I think the first day, it sounds like from our building principals and from Mrs. Powers, went very smoothly, which is always, a wonderful start to the year. But I just want to thank the staff, too, for all the hard work over the summer. It was really evident that just because the kids weren't there doesn't mean the work stopped. There was a tremendous amount of work that went on over the summer, and it was just great to see it on the first day. So thank you, but welcome to everybody, and we're thrilled to see everybody. We know we're not, it's always sad to see the summer go, but we're excited for the new year and looking forward to it. So thanks to everybody. I will turn that over to you, Mrs. Powers, for the superintendent report.
Thank you, Mrs. Kane Criswell. Well, good evening, everyone. It is an exciting day today. It was the first day of school for our Tigers. Buses rolled, I think, Mr. Welker, about 5:30 this morning. We were over at the bus garage saying goodbye to the buses. They rolled out of the lot. So it's been quite a busy and long day, but everyone is in a great mood, and we appreciate the parents for their support this morning. Sometimes the first day of school, the buses might not be on time, and sometimes the bells don't seem like they're ringing on time, and we do appreciate all of your patience as we get underway. As the week goes on, things settle in, and we become into a greater routine. So we appreciate everyone's support of our kids. It's going to be a great year. Board of Education, for my superintendent's remarks this evening, I wanted to present to you a little glimpse of what we talked about yesterday during our new staff convocation. And so I'm going to ask Mrs. Farthing to put on the PowerPoint here. First of all, I want to begin by telling our community that we have had such exciting news the last 3 weeks or so. To begin, I'm so delighted to report that 100% of the third grade students from last school year have met all of the requirements of the third grade reading guarantee. That is thanks in great part to all of the hard work from all of our staff members, the support of our community, our partnership with the Twinsburg Public Library, our Affluent Families Initiative, and we are absolutely so delighted that 100% of our kids are entering the fourth grade having met that requirement. I want to thank Misty Johnson, the principal at Samuel Bissell Elementary School, Scott Winter, the assistant principal, an outstanding group of teachers and support staff, our great parents, and also the staff under the leadership of Ms. Lynn Villa over at Wilcox, because it's not just a third grade initiative, it's really pre-K to 3 that makes the difference for our kids. Second of all, another bit of great news is we just heard last Friday, as a matter of fact, that the district will be awarded a $99,000 co-grant with Nordonia Hills City School District. It will bring STEM learning to RBC and Dodge through a project-based learning initiative. This is huge. We're so excited. We have a planning meeting next week, and we'll be rolling this out. This will provide professional development opportunities for our staff in a really great and unique way for students to learn beginning at those 2 buildings. Obviously, when we put something like this into place, it's just not meant for 2 schools, but we hope to grow this initiative through all of our buildings. And then finally, on June 21st, Taste of Twinsburg was over on Twinsburg Township Square, and the Taste of Twinsburg committee really wanted to find something to donate their proceeds to, an organization that does a lot here right in our own hometown. And because our Pause on Hunger affects students last year at Wilcox and this year also at Samuel Bissell Elementary School, their proceeds in the amount of $5,000 are coming to our Pause on Hunger program. We are so very grateful to the leadership of Jen Charlton and the Taste of Twinsburg Committee. This is going to mean great things to students because our Pause on Hunger program provides a bag of nutritious snacks to our students who qualify through our free and reduced lunch program at those two buildings. And this program will be back up and running beginning the first week in September. So absolutely grateful to the Taste of Twinsburg Committee for that wonderful donation. Beside good news, the summer of 2014 was a lot of transition. As you know, at our board office, Mr. Lenzo stepped down, Mr. Welker stepped in, Ms. Delphia stepped down, Terry Hedrick stepped in, Joanne Pulowski stepped down, Melanie Brown stepped in, and Mr. Manley stepped down, and Belinda McKinney stepped in. So in my own home, in my board office, lots and lots of transition happened. And I just want to thank everyone for their patience with us as employees that were so valuable to the district retired, and we have this brand new staff joining us, and just great, great people. Also, construction projects. Boy, have we had construction projects this summer. And in a minute, Mr. Welker is going to share some of those projects with you. And then finally, hiring, and more hiring. And you can see by our crowd this evening, we have a lot of new staff members, so we're very excited about that. Before I turn this program over to Mr. Welker, I just wanted to thank the members of our staff who worked all summer. Our buildings and ground crew have been working nonstop since June 3rd. Things look really good. Our office staff has been busy finalizing a lot of details to get us underway today. And of course, our transportation staff had a lot of work to do to refresh our buses and create these bus routes. So lots of people to thank, and just a lot of wonderful work happened over those 3 months of summer break. So what we wanted to do is to provide our community with a glimpse of all of the construction projects. So I'm going to ask Mr. Welker to share with you some photos of what has been done in our buildings and grounds this summer.
Thank you, Superintendent Powers, and thank you for the tour that we took earlier today. It was an absolute pleasure just to share with you some of the projects that are going on, and we wanted to share with the community all of the projects that were completed this summer. It was a very, very busy summer. In August, we were completing nearly $1 million worth of projects to give some of our buildings a facelift. So we wanted to show some of those pictures here today. The first one is of our welcome centers. Over the past year, we've made a significant investment in the safety and security of our students and staff, and we finished the final 2 welcome centers, both at the middle school and also the high school. So the first picture is the exterior of our high school welcome center. You'll notice that in the exterior, our doors have been also converted from 10 feet to 8 feet, which makes the doors a lot lighter. And then we have, in both of our visitor centers, you'll see we have a separate vestibule for the visitors to come into, where they get scanned by a lobby guard system. And that way we're monitoring all of our visitors when they enter the building. RBC, we also completed their welcome center, and we updated the cement pad going into RBC as well. And so that's a picture of the exterior, and then a picture of the interior as well. In preparation for Park, and also all the online testing that we started last year, we made a significant investment in our computer labs at the high school and also at Dodge. And so these are pictures of the renovations of our high school, which was the old wood shop, and then Dodge, which is the old locker room. And basically both of those projects we're still trending on schedule. We're looking to open those towards the end of September, beginning of October. Only thing was, we can say the contractor said that those lockers were installed pretty well at Dodge. So, so that took a little longer than they anticipated. I was told that the back area of the board office was a nice little water feature. I never got to experience that, but basically in the back of the board office we regraded and reseeded the area, so it's looking nice and green. That's only after a few weeks of seeding. Next project is something that I think the community has a lot to be proud of, just as far as the collaboration between the athletic boosters and the district. The athletic boosters split the cost of this next project, which was the trophy case. As we know, Twinsburg has a reputation for being the city of champions, and we were running out of room in our trophy cases, and we anticipate a lot more championships coming Twinsburg's way in the upcoming years, so we'll have plenty of space for those trophies in the main hallway by the gymnasium of the high school. We also made some renovations to Tiger Stadium, some minor renovations, but primarily to improve the first impression when walking into Tiger Stadium. So the main ticket booth was renovated as far as the outside. Instead of the wood finish, we sided it. We redid the gutters, and so it just looks a lot better when you first walk into Tiger Stadium. We also did a facelift to the upper peak of the concession stand, and we're still doing some final touch-ups on that in preparation for our opening game on August 29th against Aurora. And the final picture at Tiger Stadium, we updated the new field house on the other side of the stadium, updating the downspouts, the soffits, some of those, just to give it a nicer look. We did a lot of landscaping throughout the district. This is just a sample. We did a ton of landscaping at the high school, and so just a sample of some of the landscaping that we did at the high school. We did nearly a little over $300,000 worth of parking lot renovations, and so this is the first of a series of parking lot renovations that we did. We updated the striping of the high school bus parking lot. It serves many purposes as a marching band, practice a lot, as a bus loading zone, and also as a parking lot for evening activities. We were able to add 100 spaces into the bus parking lot to try to accommodate some of the evening activities as well. At Wilcox, we completely renovated that area. We striped it to facilitate the new arrival and dismissal procedure that went very well for the first day today. We also color-coded some of the play areas so that it helps facilitate group play. So we wound up redoing that area. And also on the next slide you will see a new parking lot gate that we had. So we installed this to increase the safety so that no cars were able to get into the back area when the students use that as a playground. At RBC, we renovated all of the driveway in front of the building, as well as the streets going by Tiger Stadium, and we are in the process of adding back when we were renovating the streets, we lost the tiger paws marching down on the stadium, and so we're working on that in the next week so that we have that for the opening game as well. And I think these final two pictures, I hope that all of our students, staff, and community really get excited about the rebranding of our gym floors. It was time to resurface our gym floors, and I'd like to publicly thank Mark Masalona for all of his work as well, and taking a look at trying to repaint the floors as well. And so we updated both the high school and the middle school with the Twinsburg Tiger. This is a picture of the mid-project picture at the middle school. If you go to the next one, it shows the high school floor. The bottom is the finished product with the new Tiger. So both the middle school and the high school have the Tiger as the center court. And it was pretty neat to see the painter. He hand painted the Tiger in the center. Just a real cool thing to watch. So we're excited about having our kids witness that for the first time later this week when we're able to open it.
So as you can see, Board of Education and Community, it has been a very busy summer regarding our projects. Thank you very much for allowing us to use the permanent improvement dollars to renovate and refresh and rebrand many areas in the school district. We have received many compliments from our visitors, our parents, family members who have dropped students off the last, today and then around the last week of school while students were scheduling in. Very impressed with the work that has been done. And again, we thank our community for supporting our permanent improvement fund that has gone a long way and is really being now used to update. I was telling the new staff last week that, the high school is 15 years old. And with 15 years, you began to see a little bit of age on that building. And with just aging of all of our buildings, and they're used. I mean, we have lots of students in our buildings, and so we always have to make sure that we keep current with the repairs, because if you don't, things catch up with you pretty quickly. So we appreciate the support in allowing us to do these many projects. And I would be very much remiss if I didn't thank Mike Lenzo. He was here until August 1st, really got many of these projects underway, and Chad picked it up when he became official on August 1st. And through their ability to work so well together, we were able to finish many of these projects. The computer labs will be done within the next couple of months, and we'll be moving on to the next thing here, and you'll hear about that in our goals in a few moments. So thank you very much for that. And beside all of the construction projects this summer, Mrs. McKinney, the new Director of Human Resources, has been so busy hiring. And as you can see this evening, Board of Education, joining us tonight are new staff members. And I have to tell you, I have the pleasure of meeting with each of the candidates in the third round of the interviews. And by that point, they have been through the gamut of meeting staff and administrators and answering questions. And those who sit before you this evening are truly a blessing to the district. So very talented, so very professional in their demeanor and their expertise, and we're delighted to introduce you to them this evening. So Ms. McKinney, if you would please join us at the podium if you want to say a few words about the recruiting and hiring process this summer. You have definitely been very busy.
Thank you. Good evening. Yes, I just want to say thank you to the Board of Education Superintendent for this opportunity to be the Director of Human Resources. I had the opportunity not only to work all summer, so I thank you for that as well, but I also had the opportunity to meet all these wonderful people more than once, and I'm delighted to have them join the Twinsburg team. And so, again, welcome, congratulations, and have an awesome year. I know you will. So with that, I'd like to introduce the central office staff.
Ms. McKinney, if you would allow the board to come forward because they'd like to shake hands with all of the new staff members.
Okay. When I call your name, please come up, and you're going to stand and smile, and possibly there's a photo out, but there is a television photo out, so make sure you're okay. I am going to start with introducing the central office staff, and then the building principals will come up and introduce their building people. So he's not here today, but I want to acknowledge Zach Boyce, who's a technology support specialist that was hired to assist our tech department with all the installations, new computer labs, and also to support our staff with their technology needs as well. He'll be housed at RBC. Also, joining us, Melanie Brown, who will be the receptionist at the board office in the afternoon. She's coming to us from Maple Heights, where she was an instructional assistant. Margot Florian is going to be the district RN. She is not here tonight, but I wanted to acknowledge her as well, and she'll be supporting all. I have to stay there. She'll be supporting all of the buildings. Let me get you some company quick. Terry Hedrick. Terry Hedrick is the administrative assistant to the superintendent, and she is coming to us from North Coast Council, and she was also administrative assistant for the Independent School District. I am going to skip me because I don't need an introduction at this point. Marvetta Mormon, who is the special ed consultant, she is coming to us from the Cuyahoga County Board of MMRD, and she will be supporting Denise Trephagen's office as well as the teachers in the district in serving our students with special needs. Lori Slattery, curriculum supervisor, comes to us from the Kent City Schools where she was director of curriculum. And she will be working with Jen Farthing and also supporting the teachers throughout the district. Chad Welker also is director of business services. And Chad, as Mrs. Powers spoke of earlier, has been working most of the summer, officially August 1st, but unofficially all summer. And doing a lot of work with Mike Linzo as well in getting our facilities up and running and also working with transportation. So I present to you central office staff. Congratulations, welcome. Now you can go. At this time, I'd like to bring Mrs. Villa to the podium to introduce the Wilcox staff. Oh.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to introduce the new hires for Wilcox this year. I'd like to start with Scott Asti. Scott has really been working since July with me, and so it doesn't feel like he's a new hire. Scott comes to us from Hudson, where he taught orchestra and music. He graduated from Baldwin Wallace and completed his Master's of Educational Administration from the University of Scranton. So Scott's been my right hand for a month now, and he keeps coming back. That's a good thing. Next is Jenny Farrow. Jenny is not new to Wilcox. She joined our staff last year as a preschool teacher through Cuyahoga County ESC, and as you know, we have expanded our preschool program, so now she is fully a Twinsburg employee, full-time. She earned her master's degree from Fordham University and comes with experience from the Aaron School in New York City and preschools in New York as well as in Solon. Also in our preschool is Catherine Bender, and she is not new to Twinsburg either because Kathy has also been in our preschool as an instructional assistant for the last 3.5 years, but through Cuyahoga County as well. Kathy earned her bachelor's degree from the University of Toledo, and she's also a paralegal. And her love for the preschoolers is evident in everything that she does in our building and her interactions with them. Lakeisha Brown is new to Twinsburg. She impressed our interview team this summer with her energy and her strong experiences with students with disabilities. She earned her bachelor's degree in special education from Ohio University and recently completed her reading endorsement, and she comes to us from Florida, where she has spent the last 3 years working with students with special needs. Dana Burton joined the Wilcox staff last year as a long-term substitute in kindergarten, and she is back for the entire 2014-15 school year in the same position. Dana has her bachelor's degree from Bowling Green University and her master's in K-12 reading from the University of North Carolina in Greensboro. Yvette Bell has also been a long-term substitute at Wilcox in both kindergarten and first grade. We are thrilled to have her as our new library assistant at Wilcox. Yvette has her bachelor's degree in education, her pre-K through 3 license, and her reading endorsement, and she really truly has a love of literature that she's very excited to share with our emerging readers. Marcy Stone, I don't think is here this evening, but Marcy joins the Wilcox staff as our technology resource assistant, and she's coming from Twinsburg High School and Samuel Bissell Elementary School as an instructional assistant. She is currently taking coursework at Kent State University, where she's working for her A+ certification. And Tychia Williams. Tychia, who prefers to be called Corey, recently moved. She told me that today, so I'm going to make sure I remember that. She recently moved to Twinsburg with her family, and her bachelor's degree is in psychology. She has experience with Head Start and running a lunch recess program. And that makes her an excellent addition to our staff as a lunch playground assistant. She did a great job on her first day today, and I hope she's coming back tomorrow. And that completes the Wilcox staff. Do you want me to mention that? Oh, Mrs. McKinney wanted me to mention that Lakeisha is a Twinsburg grad. I'm going to turn it over to Misty Johnston.
Thank you, Ms. Villa. Good evening, everyone. I would like to introduce our new staff at Samuel Bissell Elementary, but I would like to start with Scott Winter, who is not a new hire, but he holds a new position this year. He is my right hand as the assistant principal at Samuel Bissell Elementary School. You all know Scott, many of you do. He's been with the district for quite a few years as a classroom second grade teacher, as well as the administrative intern last year. And he did a real nice job, and this year we're serving the capacity of assistant principal. Our next, well, we'll start with our new hires then. We'll start with Jocelyn Rowetter. Jocelyn Rowetter was a long-term substitute last year in second grade, and she's happy to be back for another assignment, or excuse me, she was in third grade last year. She's coming to us this year in second grade for a complete school year teaching second grade, so we're very happy to have her back. Brittany Stobbs. Brittany did her student teaching with us last year in second grade, and she is returning as a long-term sub with us again in second grade. She also studied with the teachers last year and earned her reading endorsement as well, and she's excited to continue at Samuel Bissell School. We have Josephine Zabo. Mrs. Zabel did her student teaching with the Dodge Intermediate staff, and she is returning to us as an intervention specialist, where she will do a sub position for one of our intervention specialists this school year. She is also a parent in the district, and she's very excited to be part of the Twinsburg family. So welcome to Mrs. Zabel. Elizabeth Kinsella is not with us today, but she was over at Dodge Intermediate School last year, where she was a reading interventionist, and she would join the Bissell staff as a third grade teacher. She too has her reading endorsement. We have Kate Kiliani. Kate Kiliani is a third grade teacher, joining us as a third grade teacher, new hire. She taught first grade last year, and she wanted me to share with you that she knows it is going to be a hoot in third grade this year. Patty Mode. Patty Mode is joining us as the technology assistant over at Samuel Bissell. She was a former programmer, parent volunteer, and we loved her as a parent volunteer. And she also looks forward to working with our students in the computer lab. She too is a parent of the district, and her children are currently still with the district. So she's very excited about joining the Bissell family, and we're very happy to have her. Julia Smith. Julia Smith joined us as an instructional assistant. Many of you may know her. Several years ago, she was a second and third grade teacher at Samuel Bissell Elementary School, and she taught there for 5 years prior to coming back to join us as an instructional assistant. She spent some time at home raising her family, and she's very happy to be back with the Bissell family, so we welcome her back. Joy Schroeder. Joy Schroeder will be a long-term sub in our music department. We will share Joy with Dodge Intermediate School, where she would teach choir, and then she will teach several music classes over at Samuel Bissell. She is coming back into the educational field after 13 years of, at home raising her family, and very excited to be back and back into the teaching field. So we would like to welcome our new staff at Samuel Bissell. And now I would turn it over to Mrs. Wursler.
Good evening. I'd like to introduce 2 new members to the Dodge family. I am going to begin with Nancy Kautzman. You don't get out of that. Nancy grew up in Houston, Texas, and she received her undergraduate degree in education at the University of Wisconsin. She moved to Ohio in 2011, and she taught at Eastlake at an alternative school for students with autism. She's going to be an intervention specialist at Dodge Intermediate School, and we're happy to invite her and have her part of our family. One thing that Nancy and I have in common is that we both enjoy going barefoot. So I'm going to be watching to make sure we have shoes on. Our next member of our family is Dan Lundy. Dan is an art teacher. He's coming to us from Virginia, where he taught art for 4 years. He, lucky for us, his wife was raised in Northeast Ohio. However, he was raised in New Jersey. They decided to move back to Ohio to be close to family, and he has a lovely wife by the name of Becca and 2 lovely boys. He has a passion about art education, and he's grateful for the opportunity to be teaching here in Twinsburg. However, we're grateful that you are with us. So thank you, and welcome.
Good afternoon. Jim Reese, the new principal at Chamberlain Middle School, and it's my pleasure tonight to introduce our new staff. First, we have Anna Pavko. Anna is a reading specialist. She spent her last 5 years in various places, most recently South Euclid-Lyndhurst, where she has had a lot of experience. She's going to be one of our, as I said, academic reading coach. And Anna is currently training for her first half marathon, so we will support her in that. Our next new staff member is Deanna Sarka. Deanna has 10 years teaching experience in Hilton Head, South Carolina, where she was a leader in math intervention strategies. And she said, well, what's a better place to live than Hilton Head? She now resides, she resides right here in our district. So that's a lot to be said for Twinsburg. And I really think these two, we're very fortunate. The academic coach position, I believe, is going to be a real game changer for our students who struggle. And I think it was important to find 2 people who had experience for this position. And we're very fortunate, very excited to have them on board. Next, we have Tom Nalepa. Tom came to us highly recommended from Aurora, where he was a long-term sub last year. And Tom's going to be teaching our new World Cultures and Language class. And we're excited about that being part of our curriculum to promote diversity, tolerance, and really give the students a new glimpse into our global economy. And from everything we've heard, Tom is just the guy who has the energy and expertise to do that. So we're excited to have Tom on board. And last, we have Jessica York. This is a second career for Jessica. She is a biologist who received the Woodrow Wilson Fellowship that promotes STEM education at the University of Akron. And she is going to be teaching 8th grade science. She's very passionate about STEM education, and we have big plans for our STEM programming and think she'll be the one to lead us into the future. So these are our new teachers at Chamberlain Middle School this year. And next we have Luis Tarango from the high school.
Hello, everyone. I'm super excited to introduce our high school team. It's as if they were a part of our family for the longest time. They fit in just great. They understand inside jokes. They obey their boss. It's awesome. Okay. All right, let's start. Megan Murphy, come on up. Megan is an English teacher at the high school, and she says, I'm most excited about meeting all of my students and to see all of their progress and growth over the next year together. One of my favorite things to do is to travel and try new restaurants. Something special about Megan is that she has a 5-year-old golden retriever that is a cancer survivor. So, thank you and welcome Megan to Twinsburg High School. Lisa Roberto. Lisa is our English language arts academic coach. Lisa enjoys camping and hiking as a pastime and recently went camping with her daughter, just the two of them. She has 4 children, Brendan, who is finishing college, Joe, who's starting college. This is why she's working. Dom, a junior in high school, who is in soccer and track, and Sophia, an 8th grader, who is in cross country and track. And we welcome Lisa to Twinsburg High School. Matt Rakowski, new Twinsburg High School freshman guidance counselor. Matt is excited for this new opportunity after 12 years at Brush High School. He actually student taught in Australia, and he went to Miami University. His favorite pastime is traveling and camping, and his first daughter, Jade, will turn 1 in a few weeks. So congratulations, Matt. Omar Santiago, new Spanish teacher at the high school. And if you remember, Mrs. Sardinsky, when she retired, said she was happy that Omar was replacing her because she had him as a student, and she was so excited to have Omar as one of our Spanish staff members. Omar was born in Puerto Rico, but spent his high school years with us at Twinsburg High School. He played varsity baseball for Twinsburg High School and went on to Bowling Green State University. He's excited to not only teach in the district, but to coach middle school football and help out with the baseball program at the high school. He's a support to his family as he now takes care of his mom ever since Dad passed away in February, and he's very close to his little sister Carla Santiago, who we also remember as a high school grad at Twinsburg. Recently moved back to Twinsburg, and he's looking forward to helping students learn the Spanish language, making it fun and engaging. He said, "My father and I both dreamt that I would return to Twinsburg to teach and coach, and I can say I'm blessed that I was able to accomplish this goal." Welcome, Omar. Abby Teal. Abby is our math academic coach that we're also excited to have. Thank you, Mr. Reese, for saying that, because with Mrs. Roberto and Ms. Teal, I know that exciting things and great things will happen for some of our at-risk kids or kids that just don't learn the same way as others, and I'm really happy that we have Abby and Lisa with us. Abby is thrilled to be a Tiger and in the role of this academic coach for math. She and her husband just moved here from outside of the Baltimore, Maryland area, and she also has a 16-month-old daughter named Hadley, who she says is seriously the most hilarious person that she's ever met. And Abby, too, is just a fun person to be around, and so I know the students will gravitate to her. Her undergrad is from Milligan College in Tennessee, and her master's is from Concordia in Oregon. In her free time, she enjoys crafting, traveling, and most reality TV shows. We'll get you home to watch one. Anyway. And last but certainly not least, Liz Teeter. Elizabeth Teeter is our new English teacher. Liz and her husband are so happy to move back to the Cleveland area with their 2 children. She said, "We wanted them to grow up with family around them. Twinsburg is the perfect fit for me, as my mom is a twin and I'm a twin. It was just meant to be." So thank you, Liz, and thanks to our new staff members. You really are a dynamic group, and we're super excited to work with you. Thanks.
Board of Education, as you can tell by our new staff, they are a very talented and dynamic group of individuals. Our kids are really going to have great experiences in each and every one of their classrooms. The competition was fierce, and they rose to the top. And we are so delighted that you have chosen Twinsburg City Schools on your career path. And we are committed to you. You are committed to the boys and girls of our school district. What could be better than that? So welcome to our school district as members of our Tiger family. And on behalf of the administrative team, we really do look forward to working with each and every one of you. And that concludes my remarks for this evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, that brings us down to committee reports. I'll just take a quick moment to say, no, you're of course all welcome to continue with us, but it might also be a great point if you need to scoot, because I know you all have school tomorrow. So feel free to join us, of course, and for the rest of the meeting, but if you need to book, might be a good time. Sure. Nice to meet everybody. Bye. what were, I'm sorry, what were you trying to?
Which ones my kids have? I think one of them has Omar.
Oh, yeah, that was one. I guess I thought it was already.
Yeah, a couple of my students, Princeton had him last year. They said he's a lot of fun. They loved him. They were actually very sad to see him on that jump. So, it's a great addition. Oh, the addendum. Yeah, addendum. Who needs to make a motion to addend the addendum?
For some reason, I was thinking she already done. Okay. This brings us down to committee reports. I don't know if anybody has any committee
Just
reports.
said Curriculum and Technologies meeting on September 8th for our first meeting. 7 p.m. RBC Library.
Yes.
7 p.m. Curriculum and Technology at RBC Library.
I don't think they caught the date, Mr. Falber.
September 8th, the Curriculum and Technology Committee will be meeting at 6. We're at 6? Well, thank you, Jen. I would have been an hour late. I don't know why I said 7. I guess I got to go edit my schedule. 6 p.m., September 8th, Curriculum and Technology at RBC Library. I'll go edit my schedule.
Yeah, they used to start at 7. That's
Website says 7.
yeah.
So did you want to, or do you want to have,
Sure, I'd be happy to go first. We also, as you could tell from Mrs. Powers' report, the Buildings and Grounds Committee has been very busy trying to keep up with Chad and Mr. Lenzo and all the great things that they're doing. You will see a couple agenda items this evening that pertain to some of the work coming up. We have a couple projects that we're working on right now. One of them we're hoping will qualify under House Bill 264, which is an energy conservation bill. And those items that we would like to contemplate and address under House Bill 264 include lighting projects at both Wilcox and RBC, some temperature controls, and the computer labs at the high school, and the boiler room at RBC. So we'd like to take care of that again under House Bill 264. There's also some boilers we'd like to address at Bissell and Wilcox that will not be under House Bill 264, but we are hoping to take advantage as part of a consortium through the state. And so there's agenda items this evening that we will be addressing to deal with those particular projects. So those are certainly coming up. We want to make sure that we address them before the weather gets much colder, specifically the boiler-related projects. So yeah, there's a lot going on, and there's even more that Mrs. Turl Waldron will also be chatting a little bit about.
right, like everyone has said, we had the opportunity to walk the grounds of each and every building this evening, and what an amazing job our buildings and grounds people have done, as well as our janitorial staff and everyone from principals all the way through. So I was very impressed. I know it's a tremendous amount of work to get done what they did in the short amount of time that they have. So a couple things that Chad didn't get an opportunity that I kind of noticed as we were walking through the buildings. At Bissell, we had some fresh paint in the gym, so everything looks fresh and crisp for the kids. The computer labs, I was very impressed with that Dodge coming along nice. I think it's going to be a great addition for the school. It's a nice big area. It's going to be amazing to have those type of facilities for our students. So thank you for working diligently on that, Chad and Kathy. The welcome centers look very nice. It was hard, but I know they worked diligently again to get those completed, so they were able to use them for the first day of school. So that was a nice addition as well. It's keeping our kids safe. It's keeping the building secure. So as everyone knows, the security is of utmost importance. So that was just an awesome thing to see happen, you know, and get it done and completed for the first day. Something that I was very excited to see was the progress on the trophy cases up at the high school. The Booster Club has been wanting to get those done for several years, and this has just been a great accomplishment to see it come together. We were fortunate enough to have the crew that was working on the Welcome Center, so it went hand in hand, so it really came together nice. They're not complete yet, but very close, so very exciting to see that happen. And also the wall that the trophy cases are on, we're gonna see some nice fresh paint on that as well. Another very exciting thing for me to see was the landscaping out, especially in front of THS. They put a tremendous amount of hours in. There were some bushes that needed to be removed. They were big. They've been there since day one of Twinsburg High School. They were overgrown. The front of the high school just looks amazing. So I encourage all of you to go take a look at it. You saw some of it. The slide doesn't even give it justice, but it looks so much nicer. It's opened it up. So thank you to our Buildings and Grounds crew that really worked diligently on that. Also another thing, at the Tiger Stadium, we had some remodeling of the bathrooms, which was long overdue as well, which made me very happy. It's nice for when we have visitors as well as our home team parents. Looks much nicer, so I encourage you when you're at the football game for Aurora, check out our nice new bathrooms. They're freshly painted and nice and clean. And then all the things, of course, that Chad mentioned. The buildings just look really nice. So good job, everyone that had a part in that. I'm very happy. Kate and I have really, as Buildings and Grounds, we're very excited to see all the progress. So thank you once again, everyone that helped out and made that happen.
Any other committee reports? Okay. Before we move down to the administrative reports, I think we have a modification to the agenda, and I apologize, I skipped right over that. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mrs. Powers, we just needed to make a modification under one of the classified.
Actually, Mrs. Kinkers, there are two separate areas where there are errors on the agenda. Do you want me to explain what they are?
If you wouldn't mind.
Okay, under the classified spreadsheet, under contracts, Mrs. Bell is hired for 7.5 hours a day. When the agenda was released last night, it said 6.5 hours, so that should be 7.5 hours. And then the other modification is to the extracurricular contracts. Members of our staff who are classified employees are paid at a rate of $10 per hour, not to exceed a 40-hour work week. And the agenda that was released last night had an inaccurate amount of rate. So for Tracy Abbott, Georgiana Benny, Elaine Benich, Marianne Brenner, Tiffany Brenner, Cheryl Finnerty, Danette Fodor, Mary Jo Medwitz, Jim Simon, Bonnie Vadine, and Mary Vinheis. Those are all of our classified staff members who also help to sell tickets at our various events. So their rate of pay should be $10 per hour, not to exceed a 40-hour work week. And that was an error on the previously released agenda.
But I see it's corrected on this one.
It's corrected on this one, yes.
So
We corrected it for your benefit this evening, but
still needs to be
it was
Public-
inaccurate
yeah,
when it was
public-
released, so it needs to be an addendum item tonight on the agenda so everyone knows that was adjusted.
Got it.
Want a motion for the changes then?
Yeah, if I can get a motion
So
to
moved.
adopt the changes. And a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Davis. Mr. Aho, if I can get a roll call.
Mr. Felber,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mrs. Stroh Waldron,
Yes.
Mrs. Kane Criswell,
Yes. And that motion passes 4-0. Okay. Having taken care of that, that brings us down to the administrative report. And I think, Mrs. Powers, you wanted to talk about the district goals for this coming year?
Yes, thank you. This evening, as is always the case at the beginning of the year, we like to look back and reflect on the goals from the 2013-2014 school year, the progress we made, and then recommend for you this evening, Board of Education, our goals for the 2015 school year. I'm going to ask our directors and Mr. Aho to assist in our presentation this evening. So Mrs. Trapphagen and Mrs. McKinney and Mrs. Farthing will be using the podium, and Mr. Welker and Mr. Aho will just stay right where they are. So to begin, last year we had a financial goal, and Marty, if you wouldn't mind reading the goal and then let the board and our community know some of the progress that was made in reaching the goal of last year.
The financial goal is to implement a plan to maintain fiscal stability through fiscal year 17, which includes strategies for passing our renewal levy. So that was kind of what we were looking at. We were able to pass the renewal levy. Our voters were very supportive, and we appreciate that. We concluded our negotiations with our support staff. We had some reductions. We look at ways to where we can cut back, what's possible to do. We had some overtime cutback, contracted services we were able to cut back a little bit. And then we had some revenue enhancements, student fees, paid to participate, academic fees, and things like that. The other financial part of the financial goal was the one pointing toward the permanent improvement fund. This one was to develop a capital expense plan to look at their permanent improvement fund. What are the things that we have to absolutely take care of? If you have a roof, you've got to maintain the roofs, and you got to fix them before they start to leak. You don't want a roof leaking through and damaging all the substructure underneath the roof, because it's much more costly to fix a roof that's leaking as it is to fix it before it leaks. So we were trying to develop those kind of plans, and we kind of, actually at that time, it's like Mr. Lenzo took the ball and kind of ran with it and developed a framework. We have some good idea where we're heading. So we have an idea of what it looks like in the future. Some of the things that we have to do, we have to buy buses every year. Some of the things you saw on the committee reports and the PowerPoints with all the new construction, those kind of things come up, the parking lots. So we developed our financial plan for our permanent improvement fund. And that also includes curriculum materials, our technology, with the technology labs, the computers that we need to buy to put in those labs. So what we did was we studied, some of the historical trends, and put those in our spreadsheet, and then looked at, where we're going to go from there. So we have a rough idea, and then we're going to do our next step, and really taking this one step further, is we're going to get really a good facilities review to let us know, what our facilities look like and where any areas that need our attention, sooner than later. And that's kind of our facilities plan that we developed last year.
Good evening. Our curriculum goal last year was that we would continue to maintain high standards, achieving an A or a B, improving deficit areas as noted on the 2012-2013 report card, and each measurable component, including student achievement, value added, gap closing, and the graduation rate as defined on the 2013-2014 State of Ohio District Report Card, with the ultimate goal of achieving an A in every measurable category. And as I was reading that, I thought, wow, that is one long sentence. There's a lot of meat in that sentence, though. So what we have is we have some of the data available, and I'd like to share that with you this evening. The full report card is anticipated released in the second or third week in September, but the data as we know it, and we know 3 of the 4 categories that we listed in our goal. Our achievement component, our performance index score, you will see each building listed in the PowerPoint slides, and our overall score is a B. To achieve an A, you have to have an overall rating in the district of a 108. So we're moving forward. Our score last year was a B, and we had a 105.1. So we took that up about 1.5 points for our performance index. Our indicators met. We met all 26 indicators, and we achieved an A in that category, and we earned an A last year also in the achievement component for the indicators. Our graduation rate, our 4-year cohort, and those are the students who graduate within 4 years, we earned an A for a 96.8, and that was an increase from a 94.8. And then our 5-year cohort, which are the students that take 5 years to graduate, a 95.1, is what we earned, and that is an A also, and we earned a 95.1 exactly last year also. This is when we start getting into the alphabet soup. The other letters to describe gap closing are the AMO, which are the annual measurable objectives. And if you think back a year or so ago, that was what we used to call AYP, was the adequate yearly progress. And that is when it's looking at each of our students and their subgroups. So we have all students, we have African American students, we have free and reduced lunch students, economically disadvantaged students with disabilities. So this is where we break down our categories, and in our the AMO targets are going to be increasing every year by about 2.5%. But this year our score for reading was a 94, and the target was an 84.9, so we were very pleased with that. And then our math district score was an 88.9, and our target was an 80.5. So you will see that overall, district-wide for our gap closing, we earned a B. Last year, we also earned a B. Do you want me to talk about the demotion? Okay. Just if you mathematically think about that, a 94 and an 88.9 would average to an A. But you will see that we received a score of a B. And the reason we received a B is we received an automatic demotion because of our students with disabilities earning a 60.6. And we received an automatic demotion if any of the subgroups are below a 70 overall. So that was why we received that demotion. Now the 70 is obviously below the target of the 80.5. So it's not a demotion if you didn't meet the 80.5, but it's because we were at a 70. We did not make the 70, we were at a 60. So as we get into the goals for 14-15, that's obviously one of our goals this year, and we'll talk about that when we get to the next part of the agenda. So I just wanted to explain that, why we were demoted to a B, because we will probably have some questions about that. And then on the report card, this was not part of the goal, but the things that we still have coming up on the report card to be determined are our K-3 literacy, and that does not just include the third grade guarantee. That includes the progress our K-3 students are making in the realm of literacy. So we will do a diagnostic on our students, and if the students don't do well, they're placed on a reading improvement and monitoring plan, also known as a RIMP. And so we are tracking those students in EMIS from year to year and watching if the students are making enough progress to come off of a RIMP. And then also it's going to be tracking if our students on the OAA don't pass, but they were never on a RIMP. It kind of it'll almost throw up a red flag, because they're saying, how did you not know the student wasn't going to pass OAA? So, because that student should have been on a RIMP, because everything was indicating that they were not ready to make the progress.
Do you get transfer information then from other schools?
We do.
That would be a gap that.
Yes, we
might
do
not
get
be
transfer
detected.
information from other schools, and other schools are supposed to do the diagnostic by September 30th. Sometimes we get it easily, and then sometimes we just do the diagnostic on our own. And we'll put the student on a RIMP if we need to, if there are gaps. The other category we'll be waiting on, and this was value added, was one part of the goal, and we do not have any value added scores yet. The ODE is still working that out. Someone called it the wizard the other day. They're just doing those calculations so we are waiting on that at this time. And then prepared for success is a new component, and that's going to be talking about our students' scores on the ACT and SAT, our honors diploma students, our AP scores, our international baccalaureate, how our students who are at CVCC and their career credentials. So those are the things that we will be, we're waiting on those things for this year's report card.
Our safety goal for last year was to fully implement the ALICE safety procedures by January 2014 and to implement a simulated safety drill in collaboration with local law enforcement personnel by the conclusion of the 2013-14 school year. Well, all students and staff members have been trained in ALICE. The simulated crisis drill occurred on April 17th. and revisions to our district safety plan, of course, are ongoing. And continued training and preparation, or practice, excuse me, in the upcoming year. And we started that on August 15th with all the new hires. They all went through the ALICE training, and also invited to that training were subs as well, classified and certified subs who had not been trained the year previous. Any new subs were invited to that training as well. So we're continuing with that. Thank you.
In addition is our welcome centers that were constructed this past school year and just completed this past summer too, all part of that goal. The next goal Board of Education talks about student enrollment, and this particular goal is in process, and Mr. Welker is going to be talking in a few minutes about a new goal regarding facility assessment that Mr. Aho also mentioned. But as we got underway last year and again in this coming school year, you know that student enrollment continues to be on our radar, much because of the fact that we have all this development going on in town. And oftentimes when I'm out in the community, residents ask me, well, how will that impact students registering for your schools, and what about the enrollment in classrooms and such? So we have been working with an organization called DeYoung Richter from Dublin, Ohio, and they have completed the first of two enrollment projections. And the first one provided just basic information to us. We just recently got that report. Some interesting statistics are included in that report. The first statistic that I find rather interesting is the two census that were done, the one in 2000 and the one in 2010, actually showed that the population of school-aged children in our community increased by 21%. That's kind of interesting given their next bullet. And what they did is they projected a low projection, a moderate projection, and a high level of projected student enrollment over the next several years. And they used such statistics as live births and the number of building permits that were taken out and such. And what the initial report is telling us that actually they are recommending, DeYoung Richter is actually recommending that we look for the low projected enrollment, which actually shows to expect a decrease in student enrollment moving into the future from the current enrollment of 4,180 to just about 3,800 students in 2023 and 2024, which seems so far from now, but really isn't. So we were not satisfied with those numbers, and we have asked DeYoung Richter to dig further because we do have so much construction going on in our community. Some of what I hear is that many of our residents grew families and have decided to stay in town and not have downsized, and they're here. But still, with all of the construction going on and the fact that in the recent weeks we have enrolled a lot of children whose parents have recently signed purchase agreements who are building over in Corbett's and over in Liberty Ledges and the developments in the township, we've asked DeYoung Richter to dig deeper. And so part of the facility assessment that Mr. Welker will be heading up will include the conversation around this build-out study. And so this particular goal is one that we've been working on through the year. We keep close to the building enrollments, to the enrollments in our DAZZLE, which is the electronic system that we calculate lots of things about our students. But we aren't quite satisfied with the results of the initial projected enrollment, and we will seek further information from our build-out study.
Technology had two goals as part of the goals from last year. And the first one was to maximize our wireless capabilities to prepare for the park assessments, which will be administered starting the 2014-2015 school year. And as you know, we have been talking about integrating the Common Core standards and Ohio's new learning standards. One more alphabet soup that we did was the Technology Readiness Tool, or the TRT, and in that tool we reported our number of students and our number of available computer spaces, and it helped us calculate out what space we needed for our students to complete the testing. And then as part of that, we will be working to develop our test schedule. In the spring, we completed the park pilot, which was online for our 9th grade and 11th grade English language arts students for the end of year assessment. And out of the completing the technology readiness tool, we knew we did not have enough space at Dodge or the high school, and that led us to the recommendations for the renovations, which we have already discussed this evening. The other part of the goal is to maximize that wireless capability that we have within the district. And part of the things that we have done with that are our ongoing professional development regarding the Children's Internet Protection Act, also known as SIPA. Again, I really can't even talk without an acronym. We worked on developing protocols for purchasing of apps. We are reviewing the bylaws and the policies for where did I come up with bylaws? The policies and the administrative guidelines for our bring your own device technology. We worked very closely with Mr. Lenzo and Mrs. Powers last year with our PI projections that were needed as part of the strategic plan, refreshing our older PCs at Wilcox and Bissell with new PCs, and then planning for these new computer labs that we have in place. And then also another item that is not listed up there is last year part of the technology department went on some site visits to see how the other schools in our area are using their wireless infrastructure to provide opportunities for students. So that was part of the goal last year also.
So Board of Education, a lot of work was done last year to meet those goals. We recognize that many of those goals are the types of things that are ongoing. And so in our development of the goals for this school year, you might see a reoccurring theme through some of them, because some of this work just plain continues. And to begin, we're going to ask Mr. Aho once again to talk about the district's financial goal for the new school year.
It just kind of, takes it one step further, to demonstrate fiscal stewardship by adhering to the principles of the operational change plan in order to maintain fiscal stability through fiscal year 18. When we developed the operational change plan, we did some surveys and some public forums and that, and there were some golden threads that people had talked about, things that were of interest. We'll go back and review those surveys, see what people were talking about, what was on their mind. So kind of look at those. There were, a couple of things that there was like, don't touch this area. Safety and security was an issue at the time. So we'll look at those and see how we're doing in those areas. Another part of that was the cost avoidance, looking for ways to trim the budget a little bit. Looking at personnel, overtime, looking at building budgets, looking at our bus stops, bus routes. Can they be made more efficient? So we're looking for ways to be more efficient. We're always looking for consortium purchasing. The project that we're talking about doing with the boilers, that's through a consortium. That's the state purchasing, which is kind of consortium purchasing. They do the bids and they bid it out for all the public entities, and they can get better pricing on it. So we're always looking for ways to trim costs. On the other side, you look for revenue enhancements. What can we do to maybe find a few dollars here and there? The grant for the that's coming through the Cuyahoga County for that $99,000 grant. Those are ways that we can find dollars to help. The other things we look at are the course fees, the pay to participate fees, and the rental fees. Those are revenue enhancements, and we'll look at those. And then finally, one of the things we want to look at is we do all this stuff, and we're going to start maybe putting some of that on our website. Use the treasurer's webpage to better promote what we've done. The House bill projects that we've done at the high school, that's been such a home run. It really has reduced the expenditures for utilities at the high school just by 46%. That's just incredible. To put that on the website and maybe put that out there for people to see a little bit more. I think we do a lot of great things, and we just kind of need to maybe make it a little more available for people to look at. So that's kind of what we're looking for on our financial goal going forward. And there are any kind of accomplishments. We do our CAFR, and we have that put on there, and awards and stuff. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Our curriculum goal is undergoing a little bit of a modification because, as you know, when we talked about the goal, that our progress, we're still waiting on our report card. So we wanted to make a goal that was able to be accomplished, and we could measure it start to finish during the 2014-15 school year. So our goal this year is to plan and implement a program of intervention and acceleration strategies based on educational research and student data performance to ensure that the Twinsburg City School District students will meet or exceed 1 year of growth is determined by student growth measures or student learning objectives. So what I like about this plan is that our goal is it works very well within our continuous improvement plan, our CIP, which we will be bringing forward to you in September. and that's going to be the major focus of our curriculum and technology meeting on September 8th. That we will be, we're writing our CIPs, we're looking at how are we going to make a plan of action for intervention and acceleration. Those are the main things that we're working on. Also, as part of this goal, we'll be talking about any purchases that we need to do. For example, for Dodge Social Studies, grades 4 through 6, it's time to update their curriculum. Language Arts, grades 7 to 12. So we have some things on our radar that need updated. Also, as part of this, we will be using the grant opportunity that we have through the GAR Foundation and Idea Stream, because we are going to be focusing on grades 4 to 8 science, and that will also increase our STEM participation. And then also we will be using our waiver days effectively to accomplish our professional development that we need to do, including assessment literacy starting next Friday. And with that, we will be using all of that will roll into helping us make our students have 1 year of growth, and we'll be measuring that either by a student growth measure, which could be MAP, or through the student learning objectives, or the value added as part of the OAA, which is now going to be the PARC assessments.
Our wellness goal for the 2014-2015 school year is to plan and implement a district wellness program that offers learning opportunities for our staff, students, and parents, which addresses issues related to mental, emotional health, school safety, tolerance, fitness and nutrition, and alcohol and substance abuse. There are 4 components to this goal. We definitely want to implement an employee assistance program for all staff in the district. So that's one of our goals, to research some opportunities to do that and then compare the opportunities and then present a recommendation to the board for approval. The other part to this goal is the fitness and nutrition aspect of it. I kind of refer to this as the Bendis part of this goal. So definitely going to expand our Pause on Hunger program to include Bissell. We're going to maintain Wilcox as well, but we're going to add Bissell Elementary School as well. Plan and implement 1 staff fitness challenge per semester. Also plan and execute a Tiger Wellness Workshop. Ongoing professional development opportunities on wellness-related issues for the staff. And plan and implement another Tiger Fit Run. The goal being for all of these activities is for increased participation. The other part to this goal is the safety aspect. We have now welcome centers at all 5 buildings. The Alice Refresher will continue for new employees. We will do refreshers for our staff and students, and that's what I said, we started with our new staff for the refreshers. We're going to continue our parent forums on a variety of topics, such as mental health and also substance abuse. And I'm just going to go ahead and talk about the PBS component of this goal as well, because Ms. Trapagan, will be presenting PBIS in more detail at the next board meeting. That's okay. The PBIS program, which is Positive Behaviors Intervention Supports, is a program we're going to implement pre-K to 12 to address the learning environment in all facilities, as well as to include, I should say, tolerance and bullying as part of that, making the learning environment a positive space for all children. So again, she is going to provide more detail on our PBIS program, another acronym, at the next board meeting. But that is our wellness goal for 2014-2015. Thank you.
So our next goal is to conduct a facility assessment in the 2014-15 school year. So we will be conducting a comprehensive analysis of our facilities in order to create a strategic plan that addresses and balances our immediate needs and also our long-term goals. As was mentioned earlier in the presentation, the 5-year permanent improvement plan provides a good foundation to build on for this goal. And over the next few months, we'll be developing a plan with major milestone events that we'll present to the board. And then we'll have recommendations to enter into contracts with a number of professional firms or potentially one, that will complete a comprehensive audit of our existing facilities. Really look at the nuts and bolts of our facilities, make sure that our 5-year PI plan and beyond addresses those needs. We'll also we'll be seeking the input from several key stakeholders to include them in a discussion of what our upcoming needs for the district are, what our dreams are, and how we can make those dreams a reality. So the result towards the end of the year is that we'll have an initial draft of a master plan that will start to prioritize our needs and start to make recommendations for the next steps on making some of our goals a reality.
And our last goal is technology, and this very similar to last year, just has a few little bit of wordsmithing, but to develop and implement a plan to infuse wireless devices and applications into our technology infrastructure to support teacher instruction, curriculum, and assessment. Most of these goals, as we said, are going to continue to be around. But with our technology goal, we're going to start with focusing on our policies to get our bring your own device in place. We are so excited that with the addition of our technology staff, as mentioned tonight, we have Zach at additional to the staff, and we have Patty and Marcy. And we are just thrilled, and I'm really, again, just thrilled with that, and really looking forward to them being able to assist our teachers and all in the buildings. I think it's going to make a very nice difference this year. With that, we are so thankful for the support of the Board of Education with the increased devices that we have at Wilcox, with the iPads and the mobile laptops that we have at Bissell. And that's when I met with Marcy and Patty, we talked about that's your charge, to make sure they're used very effectively, and how, what can we do to support the teachers, and that's going to be their role at Wilcox and Bissell. They will also be providing professional development to the staff members, and what we need to also be focused on is 7 to 12, when we do open a bring your own device system in place, what are we going to do for the students who don't have devices? And what does your classroom look like when you have a bring your own device? Because it's a very different type of learning environment, so we will need to do professional development to prepare our students and staff for that type of environment. And then also, as we've discussed with the curriculum goal, we have the park assessments this year, so we need to focus on getting our students prepared for those. Thank you.
So Board of Education, as you can see, we have 5 very strong goals to work toward this year. Board of Education, I provided to you last week the evidence or the benchmarks to meet each of those goals. Obviously, the benchmarks are flexible. As we move forward and make progress on meeting these goals, we continue to push forward. And at the end of it all, what this is all about is making sure that all of our students have exactly what they need to ensure academic success, so that they're prepared for life after Twinsburg High School. So do you have questions for us this evening?
Not a question, just a comment. I think, nice set of overreaching goals, but, the one that I'm most excited about, I believe, that integrates everything is the wellness. And, if people are hungry, people aren't feeling well, people are dealing with other issues, it spins out of the classroom and into life. And I think this is, a very unique goal for a district to be attempting. And very excited to see the benchmarks and milestones that we'll see in the coming quarters.
Thank you, Mr. Felber. You can provide students with the very best academic programming, but if they're not coming to school feeling good about themselves or dealing with a lot of social issues, you can have the very best teachers that we do here, but it doesn't make a difference. So we have to address the whole child, and it really is the charge of public education to do that. And so we believe this is a very important goal for the boys and girls of the school district, not only the boys and girls, but to address some issues that potentially parents might be dealing with, or staff members too.
I also was actually just going to comment that, I think the table stakes from year to year are often the same, curriculum and financial and facilities, but I do think that you guys had took a more innovative approach this year, and I think the scope is really broad, and I think you're really going to be busy.
I think so.
But I think it's the right kind of stuff that you're working on. So, yeah, and we of course had a session, our last session. We spent a great deal of time talking about these. So they look good, and I'm excited to see the results.
Thank you.
Yeah, same here. I just think that all the goals are very good ones. I think that, as you know, Kate and Rob said, I'm very excited about the wellness. I think that in order for, as you said, Kathy, to have a positive learning environment, you have to have a healthy child, both inside and out. So I think this is going to be a great addition to our school district. So I'm very excited about it as well.
Thank you.
I think it's great.
And the tolerance in bullying is something that I think every school can always work on to continue to improve, and because it's not necessarily going away anytime quick, but we can make a difference and make it better.
Right.
And I'm excited about that as well.
As Mrs. McKinney mentioned, at the next board meeting on September 3rd, Mrs. Trapphagen, with a host of other staff members and I think students, will be presenting to you our PBIS initiative. This is a new district initiative this year, Positive Behavior Intervention Supports, and that will address many of the issues related to bullying, also tolerance. So I think that'll be a very nice presentation on September 3rd.
Thank you.
Great. And that concludes our presentation regarding the goals.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That brings us to the point in our meeting where we hold remonstrance. Remonstrance enables people wishing to address the Board of Education to do so at this point. No formal action will be taken on subjects that are not included on the agenda until the board has had an opportunity to study them. And comments regarding personnel must be submitted in writing through the office of the superintendent. Although there's normally adequate time for citizens to express themselves, if several people wish to speak, each person will be allotted 5 minutes until the total time of 30 is used. Each person addressing the board is asked to give his or her name and address. Is there anybody interested this evening in participating in the remonstrance? Okay. Seeing none, I will move down to H, section H, which is the treasurer's report and recommendations. We have 3 items that I will lump together under the treasurer's report. H1 is resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the following meeting minutes. That's for the regular meeting of August 6th, as sent under separate cover. H2 is resolved that the Board of Education accepts the following financial report for the month of June 2014. Bank reconciliation, general fund financial summary report, and financial report by fund. And H3 is resolved that the Board of Education accept the check register for the month of June 2014. The total, including payroll payment, is $4,031,699.57. Can I get a motion to pass those 3 items?
So
A motion by Mrs. Davis. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Turl Waldron. And is there any discussion on these 3 items? Okay, Mr. Aho, could you take roll?
Mrs. Davis,
yes.
Mrs. Kane Criswell,
Yes.
Mr. Felber,
Yes.
Mrs. Turl Waldron,
Yes.
And those 3 items pass 4-0. Bringing us to section I, action items and personnel. I1 is resolved that the Board of Education accept the certificated licensed personnel and/or contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibit. I2 is employment for classified, and resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education accept the classified personnel and/or contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibit. And I3 is resolved that the Board of Education accept the supplemental contract recommendations detailed in the attached exhibit. Can I get a motion for those 3 items?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Felber, and a second.
Second?
Second by Mrs. Davis. And is there any discussion? Other than welcoming all of our new folks, which I think you guys did a wonderful job, and your staff did a wonderful job introducing all of them. So it's great to see all the new faces.
Thank you.
Mr. Aho, could you take roll?
Mr. Felber,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mrs. Turl Waldron,
Yes.
Mrs. Kane Criswell,
Yes. And that motion passes 4-0. That brings us to action items and new business. Let's see, I just want to make sure let me separate. Okay, I'm going to lump some of these together. We have J1, resolve that the Board of Education approve the agreement with the Ohio School Council Lake Erie Educational Media Consortium effective July 1st through June 30th, July 1st, 2014 through June 30th, 2015, as sent to the board under separate cover. And I'll take J3, resolve that the Board of Education approve the donations to the Twinsburg City School District for supplies for our students. And those supplies include backpacks, binders, tissues, Germex, Purell hand sanitizer, gel, wood pencils, colored pencils, markers, dry erase markers, glue, glue sticks, crayons, index cards, erasers, scissors, rulers, pens, copy paper, 3-ring binder, notebooks, pocket folders, book covers, pencil sharpeners, pencil boxes, pencil pouch. And the supplies will be distributed to the students with need at the elementary schools. It also includes 10 backpacks filled with supplies from Buckeye Power Sales in Twinsburg, and it includes $50 from Mr. and Mrs. John Roseman on Elm Road in Stowe, Ohio, to be used, these supplies to be used at Wilcox and Bissell. Sounds like the list that I just filled this past week for my kids, those items. Okay, we have J4, resolve that the Board of Education approve the conditional employment of Gus Critchlow as a substitute teacher effective August 19th, pending the OD's issuance of a teaching license. Mr. Critchlow will be compensated at the board-approved daily sub rate of $95. J5, resolve that the Board of Education approve the district goals for the 14-15 school year per the attached exhibit. And let's see, J6, resolve that the Board of Education direct the superintendent to approve on an as-needed basis an expulsion appeal hearing designee for the Board of Education for the 14-15 school year. And that would include Ronald Victor at an hourly rate of $150 plus mileage at 55 cents per mile. Okay, we have J7. Resolve.
Mrs. King Criswell, not to interrupt you, but that's a separate vote, number 7.
Oh, number 7?
Yes, because this is the vote for the House Bill 264 program.
Can be separated?
That's separate from the others.
Okay, very good. Can I get a motion for,
Point of order, did you read J2?
Yeah, I think you skipped J2.
On
On purpose?
because of the
Okay.
expenditure. Yeah, I did
Understood.
that purpose.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
we're skipping it on purpose, okay.
Yeah, we'll switch back to that. Can I get a motion to pass J1, 3, 4, 5, and 6?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Pearl Waldron, and a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Davis, and is there any discussion? Other than a thank you for all the donations.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. That's a tremendous amount of donations, so thank you.
Huge. That's wonderful. Anything else? Okay. Mr. A, would you mind taking roll?
Mrs. Turl Waldron,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Felber,
Yes.
Mrs. Kane Criswell.
Yes. And those items pass 4-0. Let's pick up before we forget J2, which is resolve that the Board of Education approve the agreement of participation for the 14-15 school year with the Ohio Schools Council for the following services in the amount of $5,178.30 to be paid from the general fund as sent to the board under separate cover. That includes a cooperative purchasing program, legal hotline program, school bus purchasing program, and property, fleet, and liability program. Can I get a motion for that item?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Davis. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Felber. And any discussion on this item?
Did you want to maybe explain what that is, since
Absolutely.
it's an expenditure? Go ahead.
Sure. So, the Ohio Schools Council is actually a consortium of 196 school districts, and it is an organization that allows us to ensure that we're receiving the best prices possible on different services. And so, included in this agenda item, it includes membership into our cooperative purchasing program. The bulk of the cost is actually towards receiving discounted rates for legal consultation services. Every year we participate in a school bus purchasing program that allows us to get competitive quotes and really save a lot of money on our school bus purchases. And then our property, fleet, and liability program offers a significant savings because we're grouping our risk within the 196 school districts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Ms. Igo, would you take roll?
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Felber,
Yes.
Mrs. Turl Waldron,
Yes.
Mrs. Kane Criswell,
Yes. And that item passes 4-0. Before I move to the next agenda items, Mr. Aho or Ms. Carter, do 7 and 8 need to be handled separately, or can they be handled?
They do not need to be separate,
Okay.
but once you've read them and made a motion, I think Mr. Aho and Mr. Welker would like to explain to you the difference between these two.
Okay. I will then go ahead and proceed with J7, which is the School Energy Conservation Financing Program, also known as House Bill 264. I don't know that I'll read the whole thing, but I want to get the gist of what this is about. And that's resolved that the Board of Education authorize CCG Energy Solutions to submit to the Ohio School Facilities Commission on the school district's behalf a request for approval to participate in the School Energy Conservation Financing Program, House Bill 264, whereas CCG Energy Solutions, a firm experienced in the design and implementation of energy conservation measures, has completed an analysis and prepared recommendations pertaining to certain installations, modifications of installments, and/or remodeling that would significantly reduce energy consumption in school district buildings. And whereas the report submitted to the board by CCG Energy includes estimates of all costs of such installations, modifications, and/or remodeling, including costs of design, engineering, installation, maintenance, repair, and financing, and concludes that the energy consumption and resultant operational and maintenance costs as defined by the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission would be reduced by at least $1,212,600.16 over a 15-year period. And whereas the board, after receiving that report, finds that the amount of money the school district would spend on such installations, modifications, and/or remodeling, including the cost of financing, is not likely to exceed the amount of money it would save in the energy and resultant operational and maintenance costs over the ensuing 15 years, and desires to authorize CCG to submit to the OFCC, the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission, its findings and request approval to participate in the School Energy Conservation Financing Program. So that's J7. And J8 is participation in the State of Ohio Cooperative Purchasing Program. And again, I'll read enough to give you the gist without reading the whole thing. Whereas Ohio's Cooperative Purchasing Act provides the opportunity for governmental entities, including school districts, to participate in state contracts entered into and distributed by the State of Ohio, Department of Administrative Services, Office of Cooperative Purchasing for the purchase of supplies, services, equipment, and certain materials. And whereas in addition to state term contracts, the DAS maintains optional supply and service contracts known as master maintenance agreements for maintenance and service of equipment. And whereas the Twinsburg City School District can benefit by participating in the state's cooperative purchasing programs by obtaining favorable pricing, term contracts, fairness, value, accountability, and flexibility. And whereas the reasons stated, the Board of Education desires to authorize and encourage participation in the programs offered by the Ohio Department of Administrative Services, and to immediately pursue a possible master maintenance agreement with CCG Energy Solutions to replace aging boilers and HVAC at Wilcox and Bissell Elementary School. Okay, can I get a motion for those two items?
So moved.
And motion by Mrs. Davis, can I get a second?
Second.
Second by
Were we
Mr.
separating those, or they're together
They're
now?
together.
They're
Together, okay.
Second by Mr. Felber, and discussion, which I know, Mrs. Powers, you said that there's a couple
Sure.
comments that we'd like to make.
Yeah, just to explain a little further about the House Bill 264 project, this allows us to finance the project with future energy savings. As you know, we conducted a House Bill project in 2011 for the high school, and that resulted in some real significant savings, as was discussed earlier in the meeting. This project would include the redesign and replacement of the RBC boilers. Two of those boilers are the original boilers from 1958. mechanical upgrades to improve the heating, cooling balances of the computer labs at the high school, and interior lighting upgrades at Wilcox and RBC. So the next step in this process is that we will send this project down to the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission. They'll review this project. It will probably be around a 2 to 4 week process for them to review that, and then we'll have another resolution coming up later to approve that House Bill project further. So that's a House Bill project. The second resolution is to participate in the State of Ohio Cooperative Purchasing Program, and this serves a few purposes. We actually participate in the state cooperative purchasing program for a number of purchases, again, to try to achieve the best costs that we can find for different services. And we are planning on utilizing that for replacing the aging boilers at Wilcox and also at Bissell. So both of those locations also have the original boilers, and so this resolution will allow us to address those needs, and it will be submitted to the Ohio Department of Administrative Services, where we are going to try to accelerate that process so that we'll be able to get the boilers installed hopefully for this winter. So those are the two resolutions.
One thing nice about the House Bill 264 project is basically we get new equipment and it pays for itself. So it's like self-funding. So the reductions in expenditures for utilities basically are paying for new equipment. So those are good. It's really a good deal there. That we look for those when we can find them. So.
Yeah, it's interesting because I know we struggle often with what some of the legislation that comes out of the state. This is one thing that has really, served us well.
Yeah, it's been around for a long time.
Yeah, we were fabulously successful with the last House Bill 264 project, and obviously it's resulted in this secondary project.
Right.
So, one other comment though too is that I think CCG has been a fantastic partner helping us maneuver what is a fairly complex topic around energy conservation, and including the MMA, which, if I'm not mistaken, was a suggestion that they made to us to consider to help deal with a very significant expenditure, but also one, as Chad mentioned, is it's the original equipment. So
That's crazy.
Yeah, verging on antique, I would believe. Maybe worth more as an antique than it is without being an
Just to
antique.
get the coal in and out of the building.
Exactly. Yeah, just really, so they've been a fantastic partner, and just want to acknowledge their contributions on these projects, because we couldn't have done it without them. So.
I'd also like to thank the Buildings and Grounds Committee and the Finance Committees for all of their time and efforts in reviewing the projects over the past several months, and helping these projects become a reality. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other conversation about 7 and 8? Okay. Mr. Aho, could you take roll?
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Felber,
Yes.
Mrs. Turl Waldron,
Yes.
Mrs. Kane Criswell.
Yes. And those two items pass 4-0. That brings us to miscellaneous. Does anybody have anything under the miscellaneous section that they'd like to cover this evening?
Do you want to mention Mr. Bindus's statistic on composting? Was pretty interesting.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I knew you were going to say that. I didn't
Yeah.
pull it up.
Big
I've
number.
logged out. I
Big.
can't get to it, but very impressive. Something like 97,000 pounds of food composted.
Last year.
Just in the last year, and I know he's on top of a healthy menu, but being green and conservation. So I just shout out to Mr. Bindus and that program.
Yeah, it was very impressive.
Yeah, that is.
Really.
Of course, I logged out, so I didn't have the number right there.
Yeah, it was like 97. It was
It's
like
like
almost
It was
50,
like
almost-
97. That was
Yeah, almost
Pretty
50
good.
tons, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Crazy.
That is
Crazy.
amazing.
The other thing, Board of Education, just a little announcement. September 3rd will be the press release regarding our quality profile. As you know, our school district is partnering with the other school districts who are part of the Alliance for High Quality Education in our state. And through the power of that organization, school districts will be publishing a quality profile, which will talk about all of the value that the community members can expect from our school district. And what I mean by that is the school district report card that the Department of Education releases really merely talks about test results and how students do either a week in the year or a day in the year. And this quality profile will provide for our community members a lot of information about academics, obviously, but about our arts programs, our student leadership activities, our parent and community involvement, and our financial stewardship. So that will be released in a press media on September 3rd, and we understand it will be in as an insert in the Twinsburg Bulletin on or about September 11th, and then there will be links off of our website. So we're very proud of the quality profile. I think you will be very pleased when you see it. When you see everything in writing, it's extremely impressive. So I want to thank the administrative team for working very hard on that document. We look forward to seeing it published in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I just had one final quick thing. I had an opportunity to see Joe Jasny do a speak about the Cost of Freedom tribute that's going to be coming. I'm very excited that we're going to be able to have that on our THS property parking lot. It's I didn't realize how big of an event this is going to be. So he did do a presentation today at the Rotary, and I am just beyond excited, and I commend Kathy and everyone else that worked closely with them to get this to be able to be on school property. It's going to be an awesome thing. It is July 2nd through the 5th, 2015. I know they're looking for volunteers to help set up and break down, so anyone that's available, it would be a great opportunity to get in there and see some really cool things. So once again, I commend you guys on having that as a part of, using our school district to help see that, come to light. So very excited for it.
I guess since you opened that door, September 13th, this year, is the Cost of Freedom second annual 5K run. So you can sign up for that now and at twinsburgveterans.com.
Anything else under miscellaneous? Anybody else? Okay. I don't believe we have need for executive session. So I will make the motion that we adjourn at 8:45. Can I get a second?
Second.
And no discussion about adjourning?
No.
Assume no?
That's it.
Mr. Aho, you take over.
Mrs. Kane Criswell?
Yes.
Mr. Felber?
Yes.
Mrs. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Terwaldron?
Yes.
Great. And we are adjourned. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.